There was a spark, a loud pop, and then the single most satisfying sound I have ever heard in my adult life. My neighbor Karen screaming like someone had just set her designer sneakers on fire. Technically, it was her son's ATV charger that caught fire. But you get the idea, and if you're wondering whether I felt bad standing there in my workshop, sipping chamomile tea at 2:17 in the morning while blue light flashed over the fence like a low-budget superhero movie, no, I did not. Because you don't siphon electricity from an electrical engineer, lie about it, weaponize the HOA, file a police report, and expect the universe to just shrug. Let me rewind, because the spark wasn't the beginning, it was the payoff. See, electricity is my thing. Some guys play golf. Some guys rebuild engines. I design power infrastructure for data centers that can't blink without losing millions of dollars. My house runs on a hybrid solar system I built myself. I monitor my usage the way some people track their cholesterol. So when my inverter log started showing a neat little 1.8 kilowatt-hour dip every night between 1 and 3 a.m., I noticed. Most people wouldn't. I did. At first I assumed it was a glitch. HVAC cycling weird. Battery balancing. Maybe my hot tub having an identity crisis. But the pattern was too clean, too consistent, like someone taking a polite, scheduled sip of my grid. And that's when I thought about Karen. Karen moved in 2 years ago with a white SUV, mirrored sunglasses, and the confidence of someone who thinks HOA bylaws are sacred scripture. She once yelled at a 10-year-old for riding his bike too close to her hydrangeas. She hosted wine brunches that somehow turned into midnight karaoke raggers. And recently, she bought her teenage son a souped-up electric ATV. Loud, obnoxious, and apparently allergic to paying its own power bill. The first time I saw the orange extension cord, it was slithering over the back fence like a plastic snake. It disappeared behind my tool shed. I actually blinked and rubbed my eyes. No way she'd be that bold, I thought. Oh, she was that bold. That night, I killed every exterior breaker except one and waited. At 2:12 a.m., there was the dip. Clean. Precise. I walked the fence line the next morning. Cord gone. But I had photos. I went over politely. Because that's who I am. I rang her bell. She answered in yoga pants and sunglasses, holding a mimosa like it was a trophy. Oh, that, she said when I mentioned the drain. We figure it was no biggie. Just a little charge. You've got solar, right? You barely notice it. That right there, that was the moment. Because it wasn't about the kilowatts. It was the pat on my arm, the laugh, the assumption that my system, my work, was community property because she felt entitled to it. I called the HOA. 3 days later, I got a warning letter about hostile neighbor dynamics. Apparently, Karen claimed I'd installed dangerous traps along the fence and was threatening her family. That's when something inside me clicked from defense to design mode. You don't insult my craft. So I built a decoy outlet. Now, before anyone gets dramatic, it was legal, safe, and wired to code. But it had a tuned impedance circuit that would trip hard if a device pulled over a certain current threshold. Harmless to humans. Devastating to greedy electronics. I mounted it on my side of the fence, angled just enough to look forgotten. Tempting. Easy. 3 nights later, the cord returned. At 2:17 a.m., the log spiked. The circuit responded. Blue flash. Loud pop. Then Karen's shriek tore through the night air like a blender fighting a karaoke machine. Her son ran out in boxer shorts. The ATV wheezed smoke. And I smiled. But here's the twist. That wasn't the war. That was the invitation. The next morning, the HOA sent a man in khakis to lecture me about unauthorized electrical hazards. Karen had doubled down. So I doubled smarter. I upgraded the outlet with a hidden data logger disguised inside a garden gnome. Motion cameras went up, hidden in birdhouses. Everything time-stamped. Cloud backed up. If someone sneezed near that fence, I'd have footage. For nights later, my phone buzzed. Power draw detected. Flash. Pop charger fried again. And this time, I had everything. When the police showed up, because yes, Karen filed a report claiming I endangered her child, I invited the officer inside, pulled up the footage, walked him through every frame like a TED Talk on petty theft. He leaned back and said, "Sir, this looks like theft of utilities." Yeah, it did. But here's where it got interesting. Neighbors started knocking on my door. Tom, 2 houses down, mentioned his outdoor fridge losing chill overnight. Nancy said her garden lights flickered at 2 a.m. The Patel family had a freezer trip mysteriously during one of Karen's backyard Coachella light parties. Suddenly, it wasn't just me. We formed a group chat. Someone named it Shocked by Karen. Within a day, it had 23 members. Turns out she'd been running a whole extension cord operation across the block. RV hookups, garden outlets, anything unlocked was fair game. And here's the thing about engineers. We love data, so we gathered it. Power bills, breaker logs, timestamps. We overlaid usage spikes. Patterns aligned perfectly with her late-night ATV charging and party schedule. The total theft over 4 months? Over 3,000 kilowatt hours. That's not just a little juice. At the next HOA meeting, we showed up organized. USB drives, printouts, police report. One by one, neighbors stood and spoke. Karen tried to deflect. Community power, she said at one point, as if our homes were public charging stations because she paid dues. Even her ally on the board shifted in his seat. They suspended her privileges pending investigation. Then the city utility board got involved. Because once numbers cross certain thresholds, it's not neighbor drama anymore. It's fraud. A certified letter arrived at her house. Investigation. Inspection. Potential charges. The back-billed energy alone came to over $1,800. Add HOA fines, legal fees, violations, it snowballed. Her ATV disappeared. Parties stopped. The karaoke machine fell silent. Her son went from cul-de-sac prince to mowing lawns quietly, eyes down. And here's the lesson that hit me while reviewing the final report one evening. None of this had to happen. If she had just asked, I would have helped her wire her garage panel properly. I would have walked her through load balancing. Hell, I might have built her a better charging setup than she could have imagined. But entitlement has this way of convincing people that asking is beneath them and stealing is harmless if you smile while you do it. That's the delusion. Power, electrical or otherwise, doesn't belong to whoever grabs it. It belongs to whoever respects it. Weeks later, Karen showed up at my property line without sunglasses, without bravado. I owe you an apology, she said quietly. For which part? I asked. She blinked. All of it. I didn't forgive her. Not then. Maybe not ever completely. But I saw something new there. Not entitlement, just consequence. Now the neighborhood is different. People wave. The group chat shares gardening tips instead of surveillance alerts. The HOA got new leadership. Policies were rewritten. Peace returned. And the decoy outlet? It's still there. Not as a weapon. As a reminder. Because peace isn't something you wait for. Sometimes you design it, protect it, and if someone tries to siphon it away, you respond precisely. So here's the question I'll leave you with. If someone repeatedly takes from you and laughs while doing it, is it revenge to defend yourself intelligently? Or is it justice? Where's the line between retaliation and accountability? I'd genuinely like to hear what you think. Have you ever had to stand your ground like this? Did you handle it quietly, or did you flip the breaker on someone's entitlement? Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk about it.